change.
Hello, Kindsound listeners. You're here with me, Juliette Bryant, on Transformative Health. Hello to you all. And we're here with my lovely producer, Giles Bryant.
Hello, everyone. Kindsound Massive. How you doing out there on this wonderful day?
So today we're going to be talking about the immune system. This is a subject that is close to everyone's hearts, and if it's not, it definitely should be. It's something that we really need to focus on more, supporting our immune system so that we can live happy, healthy and fulfilled lives.
Juliette, you're absolutely so right. And as regulars to Kindsound will know, that I have my own 3 o'clock show on Kindsound every week. And this week I was thinking, who's going to be, I thought, what's the most important guest I can have? What's the most important subject? And I thought it's the immune system. And I'm going to get Juliette Bryant on my show to talk about the immune system. And I just said to her, Kindsound listeners just now, what's your show about today? She goes, well, I thought I was going to talk about the immune system. Juliette Bryant, take it away.
So we really need to look at this because our immune system does so many things. It's such an important thing to fight off bugs, pathogens, viruses, food intolerances. It works on so many levels, cancer cells, all of this intricate stuff that's going on with it. And we really need to support it in the best way we can. So how can we do that? And that's what we're going to be discussing today. So the first thing when we look at the immune system is looking at our gut, which we talked about last week, because the gut is the first line of defense. So the gut supports 70% of the immune system. So we really need to make sure our gut is working properly. So if you didn't hear the show last week, go back and have a listen to the replay of it so you can get the basics of healing the gut. So getting the gut strong, and then we need to look at bringing in foods into our body that help to regulate our immune system. Now, one of my favourite immune regulators are the medicinal mushrooms. So your reishi mushroom, turkey tails, chaga mushroom. There's a whole host of other ones, but those are the key top ones. And you can find turkey tails in most places and some form of reishi mushroom as well.
Of course, Juliette, people have got to be a little bit careful when they go into the woods or go into the fields picking mushrooms. I remember once doing that when I was younger, and I tell you what, the world seemed a lot different.
You totally do have to be very careful. The medicinal mushrooms that we're talking about here are bracket fungus. So they're ones that grow on trees. So hard, woody mushrooms that you would make a tea with or a tincture with to extract the medicinal benefits from it. So, of course, always cross-reference when you're going out getting things because there are poisonous things out there, especially in the fungal kingdom. So we do want to check that. But turkey tails and reishi are very easy to identify. So have a look at them first and go out and see if you can find some and start making some teas. The other thing is, obviously, if you don't want to go and forage them, you can quite easily now get them online. And I've got lots of different medicinal mushroom products on my website. So happy to give you guidance on those things there.
Yeah, Juliette, this is something as well that might be a good thing to point out to the listeners, that we've got thousands of years of use for the medicinal mushrooms and their record for promoting longevity and excellent health. And I know a lot of scientific research has also been done on the immune regulating properties of these medicinal mushrooms. Can you explain how they do that?
Definitely. So if anyone's interested in finding out more on the scientific side, there's an incredible microbiologist, Paul Stamens, who's done a lot of work on working with pharmaceutical companies, working on scientific evaluation. And what this scientific evaluation has proved is basically it's backed up the thousands of years of anecdotal evidence that we have, which is great because some people really need to have that scientific evidence, even though we've got this anecdotal evidence. And the Chinese emperors have long used the medicinal mushrooms and swore by them for their longevity properties. But what happens with the immune regulating properties is you've got beta glucans in the medicinal mushrooms, and the mushrooms go into the body and really work to switch off overactive parts of the immune system and switch on underactive parts of the immune system. Your immune system is split into two sections, basically. This is a very basic interpretation of it so that everyone can get their heads around it. So basically, you've got two different types of the immune system. You've got one that deals with food intolerances, bacteria, parasites, the surface level attack that we have all the time. And the other deeper immune system that works on your pathogens and your cancer cells and things like that. Now, the problem that we find with a lot of people is one part of their immune system is always switched on. Now, they both can't be working at the same time. And this is such an important factor to bear in mind. So if you're eating foods that you're intolerant to a lot, if you've got parasites in your system, if you've got a lot of bad bacteria, if you're in this kind of toxic state most of the time, then one level of your immune system is always going to be on. And that means that the deeper part that has to get into those cancer cells and all the rest of it cannot be on. So the mushrooms come in and they switch off one part and switch on the other, and then they regulate it. So it creates this balance so that you're always able to be fighting the deeper enemies that you can't see going on in your body.
It's incredibly sophisticated, isn't it? How these things work. I mean, it's almost some people do call them magic mushrooms, don't they?
Yeah.
And it's such an incredible power, and it's really enhancing our own body's ability, isn't it? I think that's one of the things with when we're talking about these plants that help the immune system. They're helping your body do what it can do.
Exactly.
Which is just incredible.
Yeah.
Well, absolutely. We've all got the power, but I think you just explained something there, Juliette, very profound, that if people are fighting all of these things regularly, then they're not going to have the energy to fight these other things. And I think you've revealed one of the main reasons that cancer rates are so high just in that one explanation there. Fantastic.
Well, exactly. I mean, so many people are eating foods they're intolerant to, and I think this is, and have parasites. I think those are some of the biggest things.
Yeah,
that
and the
are,
bad bacteria.
exactly,
and the
attacking people's systems.
Toxicity.
And then you don't get that chance to work on that deeper level in your body. So as Giles said, our bodies are these divine, incredible creations. I mean, when you start to look into it, wow, what incredible science and technology is going on in this human body. It far outweighs any computer system, and it all runs subconsciously. We're not actively doing anything, but what we can actively do is support those body processes. And that's what I love guiding people on, is how we can best support what the body does by itself. So we're just getting rid of the things that are blocking it from doing its work like it wants to.
Juliette, there's a lovely story. It'd be wonderful. I think you may have told it on Kindsound before, but it's worth repeating, about the doctor who studied the people in Russia. And they were drinking
brilliant
this
story.
is an indication of, if you just want, there's one food for your immune system. And I have medicinal mushrooms every single day in Juliette's longevity drinks and the CBD and our smoothies and everything. But this is a story for you.
So there's a book written all about this if you want to look into it more, and it's called The Cancer Cure, and it was written, I think, in 1927, and it was written by a Siberian doctor, and this Siberian doctor was dealing with poor people and rich people, and what he was noticing was in the rich people there were huge amounts of cancer, and he couldn't understand why, but in the peasants, no cancer. So he thought, he expected it to be the other way around, because he expected the poor people had all this stress on them, they had to work harder, so they had less money for good food, they should be the ones who were getting sick, but they weren't. So he studied what these people were doing, and what he found was the rich people were drinking tea every day, and the poor people couldn't afford tea, black tea. So what they did instead was they made a tea from the woods. It was a forest tea. And guess what this forest tea was made from?
Oh, can you guess out there? Kindsound listeners,
you're right.
I've got a clue. Was it a medicinal mushroom?
It certainly was. It was chaga.
Chaga mushroom.
So
the king of medicinal mushrooms.
Exactly. What they were doing was going out to the forest where in cold climates chaga grows quite profusely. And they were chopping off the chaga and they were boiling it up on their stove, and they were drinking this every day. Now, since then, as I said, Paul Stamens has done a lot of work showing the science of how the beta-glucans in the chaga mushroom and the reishi and the turkey tails all can kill cancer cells. So this is what was keeping them so strong and healthy. an amazing thing, drinking that every day. So think about us, if we can start to bring these things in. And this is ancient knowledge, that has been lost from so many people. And we need to return to this ancient knowledge. This, for me, is the key. We have had for a very long time all of these things at our disposal to help support us to be healthy, to be vibrant. And we need to return that knowledge. And that's what I'm trying to do, help return that knowledge, as so many other people are, to us, so we can really feel it and embed it and start living it.
I think a lot of people are, Juliette, but no one else has got a voice as beautiful. I mean, it's a shame that you can't see her as well. What a beauty, what a voice. The other thing, Juliette, I just wanted to just ask about is the link between immune function and sexual function. I say that, Kindsound listeners, because one of the medicinal mushrooms, it's actually your favourite, the reishi mushroom, is known by many names, and one is the magic mushroom of the bedroom.
Yeah.
And is it linked? Is it linked that a healthy immune system will help a healthy sexual function? Are these things linked at all?
Well, the thing is, every system within our body is linked. So what's really important is, and the kind of sexual function and the immune function link really is in the reduction of stress in the body. When we have high levels of stress in our body, our immune system doesn't work so well. When we have high levels of stress in our body, our endocrine system, which is our hormonal system, doesn't work so well. So reducing stress in our body is one of the keys to helping our immune system be healthy and our hormones be healthy, because we cannot produce hormones in their correct ratio if we have high levels of cortisol, which is the stress hormone. So this is a really important factor when it comes to our health and our well-being, to our immune system, is reducing that stress in your body. And as you said, the medicinal mushrooms are brilliant at reducing stress in your body because they're adrenal support.
Okay.
So they feed your adrenals, which are the things that give you adrenaline and cortisol. So they help to regulate your stress response. It's almost like the medicinal mushrooms or any adaptogenic herb, draw a blanket underneath you, a kind of cushion, and hold you and say, it's okay, I've got you. And it's that they're doing that within the system to help us to deal with stress, to manage stress better. And we're living in a world where we're bombarded by stress. And I think this and the gut have the biggest negative influences on our immune system, because we cannot have a healthy immune system when we're in a fight or flight state, which is what a stress state is. So we're doing a brilliant course at the moment on reducing anxiety, or supporting children on anxiety. And one of the things that they said in it, which was so fascinating, is that when we get into this stress state, our brain stops functioning properly and we can't use our rational part of our brain. We go into a very primitive part of our brain. And what happens is that our energy gets taken away from our digestive system, taken away from our organs, and gets put into our limbs, into our extremities, so that we're able to run away from that fictitious lion attacking us. So that's all right if you have a lion attacking you and then you're going to have a rest period afterwards. But if you're constantly in that state, then you're taking away vital energy from your immune system, from your digestive system, from all your organs. So this is one of the key components that we really need to look at, is reducing the stress. And I think we should do a whole show on just how to deal with stress.
Well, maybe that will be my show, which in a time machine people might have already heard at 3:00 because of our scheduling. So you may have already heard that episode on stress. Thank you, Juliette, for giving me that idea. One thing I wanted to ask is, you said about the incredibly negative effects stress can have on immune function, and also on that link thing, someone's sexual function, hormonal systems. But can you talk about the negative effect, if there is one, of toxins, toxicity, be it electromagnetic pollution, or be it aluminium in vaccines, or be it Roundup, or whatever it is, glycophates. How are these things negatively affecting the immune system, if they are?
So when we talked earlier about the two different levels of the immune system, and how one was dealing with, the kind of toxic load and the bacteria and these things, the more toxins we have in the body, the more this level has to stay on. So again, what it's doing is it's stopping us from working at that deeper level. So the more toxicity you have in your environment, the more stress and pressure it's putting on your immune system, because these things are all foreign to our system. We're not meant to be surrounded by electromagnetic stress. We're not meant to be surrounded by glyphosate and weed killer and Roundup and all these other things which have been shown to be very toxic for our health. So you're just adding that extra layer of pressure onto the system that it doesn't need.
That it doesn't know. I mean, something like lead or mercury. I mean, what does the body do when it's?
Yeah, well, it doesn't know what to do with it. It's not natural to us,
it's
is it?
It's not natural, and sure.
So what generally can happen with things like mercury, for example, is the mercury can attach to a cell. And then the body starts to attack itself, because the body doesn't read mercury plus cell, it reads mercury. So it starts to attack the body's own defences. And this is where autoimmune conditions spring up. Now, my mother had MS, multiple sclerosis, from when I was 8 till she died when I was just turned 21. And what's very interesting about this is one of the potentials that they don't know what causes MS, but one of the things they think might be linked is mercury in the system from potentially amalgam fillings or vaccines or water or other pollutants like fish and stuff like that. But that they think that the mercury attaches to the cell and then the body attacks itself. And I know with my mother, she went on a great kind of healing journey looking at all alternatives, as well as looking at allopathic medicine as well. She looked at all the different aspects of nutrition, of health, of prayer, of healing on all levels. And one of the things she had done was all of her amalgam fillings removed. And I remember one of the interesting things they found was that most of them had leaked almost all the mercury out, and that was in her system. And they say that, the mercury is constantly dripping out at slow levels into your body. And that is just dangerous and scary. We don't know enough about these things that have been put into our bodies. And I know through Europe, amalgam fillings have now been banned, but they're slowly phasing them out in this country. And, I luckily don't have any amalgam in my mouth because of my mother saying, don't ever get those things put in, because she could see the potential link. And obviously this isn't a definitive link, but it's a potential. And where there are potentials, I think these need to be explored. And there's an amazing guy, Dr. Robert Kennedy Jr., he's not a doctor, sorry, Robert Kennedy Jr., who has written a whole book on thimerosal, which is the other word for mercury, because he was exploring and investigating the mercury poisoning in the water systems and how toxic this was. And then he moved his attention from that onto vaccines, because he said, well, if it's toxic in the water systems, what about it in these vaccines that are going into young babies? Hang on. So he has been a great advocate for the removal of these dangerous heavy metals. They've taken thimerosal or mercury out of a lot of them now, but they've replaced it with aluminium, which is another heavy metal. So we've got to look into this and make our own minds up on what it is. But all of these foreign substances going into our body will affect our body's natural ability to defend itself.
Absolutely. And just one thing we can say is, and it was the great work from the CDC who got lead banned in petrol.
Yeah.
The Centre for Disease Control in America is one of the good things that they've done, clearly, because they pointed out that this isn't a good thing. So what you're saying makes a lot of sense there, Juliette. And again, it ties in with the show that you did, Divine Detox, because what you're saying is here, if you're not stressing yourself out with toxicity, then that aspect of your immune system isn't going to be having to work, and then it can work on all these other things, helping replenishment of other body systems, of other functions. I mean, it does make a lot of sense what you're saying here.
And one of the things I would say is, get on, if you haven't heard it, the Divine Detox episode is a brilliant one. But just to sum it up really briefly, looking at removing heavy metals from your body on a regular daily basis is something I would recommend for all of us, because we do live in a world where we're breathing in heavy metal particulates all around us as well. So, getting on, having chlorella, having things like blue-green algae, spirulina on a regular basis to help flush out these heavy metals, having liquid zeolite occasionally, that's not something you would want to take all the time. But having liquid zeolite, which is a clay-based product, which helps to trap the metal particulates and flush them out of the system. Another great thing to have. They also say apples are very good for flushing out heavy metals. So, adding coriander, beautiful way to detoxify from heavy metals. Adding these things in on a daily basis so that you're always keeping your system as clear as possible.
Do you know, Juliette, I'm just going to go and make a tea with parsley, sage, rosemary and thyme. I mean, it might be that people have got herbs all around them. I think it's essentially, it's anything green, isn't it, is going to have a beneficial... I think President Trump, I don't know if he'll still be the president when people hear this, but... and he goes, I'm not a doctor, but I believe that, eating your greens is good for you.
Exactly. Greens are such an important thing.
Greens, because it's detoxifying, isn't it?
Exactly.
And it's supporting your immune system with the things that your immune system needs. It's not just the macros, it's those micronutrients that really help it function really as it can. So, Juliette, we've gone big into medicinal mushrooms. Give us another one, a top tip, a top food.
So what I want to tell you first, really quickly, is you've got to get the greens in for your immune system. You've got to get the medicinal mushrooms in. You've got to look at supporting the gut. So those are the key things. And then there are foods that you can add in to really strengthen the aspects of the immune system. Obviously, if you have an autoimmune condition, then you don't want to be strengthening your immune system. You want to be regulating it. So some of these tips, if you do have autoimmune conditions, check with a healthcare practitioner first. My favourites: garlic, elderberries, and vitamin C. These things are... and vitamin D. That's the thing, isn't it? Once you start talking and thinking, it's like, and zinc. There's so many things that we could really be doing.
But if we talk about, because I know we did that fantastic show on supplements.
Exactly.
You covered vitamin D, vitamin C, and zinc brilliantly there. Just what about the food sense? So you've said garlic.
Elderberries. Elderberries are a great thing because they're highly antiviral. They're also antibacterial. A lot of studies have showed that taking elderberries on a regular basis reduces your risk of flu and colds. And if you do get a flu or a cold, it reduces the severity and the length of those colds and flus. So elderberries are brilliant. You can buy them dried. You can buy elderberry syrup. I like having. You can go and forage them when they're ready. They're past it now in where we are in England, but they might be still going in some other places that are a bit warmer. But I collect elderberries and I freeze them. I also dry them. So I've got a store of them to make teas, to make syrups. I put them into my fire cider, which is an amazing recipe.
Oh, check out the new video
on my YouTube.
And
we'll
YouTube,
put them onto the Kindsound. We'll put the video onto the Kindsound Facebook page on Sunday. So do check out the Kindsound Facebook page for the video of fire cider, which is an amazing immune support recipe that you can make with a lot of the ingredients in that will really help you that we've been talking about.
We're getting multimedia on people
we
now with
are.
Kindsound. Whoa, we're tuning in for change.
So what we need to also look at, as I said, we've got the elderberries, garlic. Garlic has 39 different antibiotic strains in it. So this is incredible. What
39?
Yeah. That's the ones they found. There are probably more. But garlic is also highly antiviral. So at the moment, we're all, not we all, a lot of people are fearful about a virus that is going around. And... and one of the things I would say is get elderberries, get garlic into your system, because these will prevent all your general coughs and colds and flus, or again, help to reduce the severity. Getting coughs and colds and things like this is actually important for your immune system, especially for kids. They're meant to get coughs and colds because as that happens, they're building up resilience of their immune system. We're not meant to live in sterile environments. We're meant to breathe in bacteria. We're meant to be surrounded by this stuff because this is how we get strong in our bodies. But what we're meant to have is that strong defense that can brush it off and maybe have the sniffles for a day or two, but it's not a big deal. Also, when you get coughs and colds, you're detoxifying from the past. You may be detoxifying from the vaccine you had when you were 4 when you have a cold. So, you're clearing out your system, so it's not always a bad thing.
Absolutely, Julia. Some of the things that you're saying there, you're quoting scientific information about garlic, about elderberries, scientific studies that we've done. It's very funny that I haven't heard the chief medical officer talk anything about people's strong immune system. I haven't heard Matt Hancock talk about it once. I say Juliette Bryant for Health Minister.
Thank you very much. I think I have a big fan here in my husband. Thank you.
Well, it's true. I mean, the point I'm making is you're a health expert. You actually have an understanding of these things, of the science. Unlike, it seems, some of these people. I mean, why, Juliet, a question I think a lot of people are asking, why aren't we being told about the importance of having a robust immune system when there is a, quote, virus?
Because it doesn't benefit the agenda in the pharmaceutical companies. But that's another subject altogether.
That's a kind of detective.
Exactly. I was about to say Shelley Kim Gold.
With
that's
me,
one
Shelley
for you.
Kim.
But what we really need to look at is not getting into that side of things, but getting into, well, what can we do?
How
can we support ourselves? How can we stay positive? Because, fear, negativity, all of this has an impact on your immune system. So turn off your television.
Okay.
Turn off your social media where you can.
Except for when you're on Kindsound Facebook,
exactly,
all right? That's
exactly.
It, yeah.
But fill yourself with that kinder information. Fill yourself with that love vibration.
Gratitude.
Exactly, because
your
these
immune
things
system
are going to make you feel better.
Yes.
I'm sure all of you have experienced
Sunshine.
it, when you're not feeling great and maybe you're a bit down and then everything snowballs on top of each other and you end up getting sick. But generally, when you're up and you're happy and you're positive, it's much easier to deal with things and they kind of roll off your back, don't they? You may get the sniffles, but it's gone really quickly because you're not entering into that mindset of, oh, woe is me, oh, life is bad. And I know sometimes we all go there. I do too. We all do, because that's part of life. But it's being able to pick yourself up and lift yourself out of that. And I think we have to have outlets of beauty, of peace, of kindness, like Kindsound Radio, to really inspire us to be the best humans we can be, inspire us to find the divine within us, inspire us to get out in nature, inspire us to move our body, because that's another part for the immune system that is so vital. Our lymphatic system is a vital part of supporting the removal of foreign objects, the removal of toxins, the removal of illness from our system. But our lymphatic system doesn't have its own circulatory system. So what that means is it can't move things unless you're moving.
You've got to move.
Exactly. So that's where yoga and exercise and walking, all of that really helps support the body to flush out the bad guys. So movement is vital for the immune system as well.
It is, isn't it? I heard the Dame Thompson, the Paralympic athlete, who was recently saying, look, you've got to keep gyms open for people's health, for the long-term health, for people's I don't think she said for their immune systems, but she just said for people's health, because people have really got to move for that immune function as well. Exactly. So I think that's such an important part. Do you know what's a nice thing to do? Just put on some music. I mean, Kindsound has some great music, particularly when
we love your DJing.
Joe's DJing. But put on some music and just move
or shake. I was talking to my mentorship group, and we were talking about anger and getting rid of anger and stress. And I said one of the best things is to just shake your body and actually just shake away your worries.
Shake it off.
Exactly. Shake it off and shake out all of that stress. And when you're shaking, you're also moving your lymphatic system, you're getting energy into your body, you're getting your blood flowing, your heart pumping. All these things are important for the immune system.
Juliette, you are a fount of knowledge and wisdom, and it's a wonderful thing that you give of your time for the Kindsound listeners. If people want to work with you more, I know you've got some exciting things that are coming up. How can people get involved with what you do, Juliette?
Well, do check out my website, julietbryant.com, and I'm offering at the moment free 30-minute energy breakthrough calls. You have to apply. There's only limited numbers of these, but this is on my website. So if you want to see how I work and kind of get into this a little bit, then do check that out and fill in the application, and we'll see if it's a good match to explore further how you can really connect to your body. There's also lots of exciting talks I'm doing at the moment. So all of that is on my Facebook, which is julietskitchen.tv, or on my website, julietbryant.com.
I know you've got loads of, it's a sad thing for us. We've not been physically at events and festivals, which has been our life for many years. But I mean, you're so popular in the doing all these online events. I mean, you've done so many now, haven't you? And reaching thousands and thousands of people. So well done, Juliette. Absolutely brilliant. It's been lovely chatting to you on Kindsound.
Kindsound, tuning in for change.
So just to recap, move your body, get out in the fresh air, dance a little bit and get that lymphatic system moving. Get your medicinal mushrooms in to regulate your immune system. Make sure you've got your garlic and vitamin C. Have a look at elderberries and their amazing properties. And don't forget to check out our fire cider making video on Kindsound Facebook page. And I'll see you next week.
Yeah, one more thing, Juliette. As Hugh tells us, the founder of Kindsound, make sure you have a drink of water.
Definitely. We love you, Hugh.
15 glasses for a man. And 11 for a woman.
Transformative